The conference room doors swung open with such force that everyone at the partnership meeting turned to look. My husband James stood there, divorce papers in hand, a smile I'd never seen before twisting his face into something cruel and unfamiliar. "Grace," he announced, loud enough for every attorney, paralegal, and intern in Hartwell and Associates to hear. "Since you never check your personal email during work hours, I thought I'd deliver these in person." He crossed the polished marble floor with measured steps, each click of his Italian leather shoes echoing through the suddenly silent office. I sat frozen at my desk just outside the conference room, files from the Morrison case spread before me, my coffee growing cold in my hand. "What are you?" I started, but he cut me off. "Divorce papers," he said, dropping the manila envelope on my keyboard. "I'm done. Nicole and I are getting married as soon as this is finalized." "Oh, and you need to be out of the apartment by Friday. I already changed the locks, but I left your things in the storage unit on 5th Street, keys in the envelope." The conference room had gone completely quiet. Through the glass walls, I could see senior partner Diana Hartwell watching, her expression unreadable. Nicole Mitchell, James's colleague from the corporate litigation department, stood in the hallway behind him, her hand resting on her still flat stomach in that universal gesture that made everything clear. "You're pregnant," I heard myself say, though my voice sounded like it was coming from underwater. Nicole smiled, a sharp, triumphant thing. 3 months. We didn't mean for it to happen, but when you know, you know. Right, babe? James didn't even have the decency to look uncomfortable. "Sign the papers, Grace. I'm being generous with the terms. You keep your car, I keep everything else. It's fair, considering." "Considering what?" My hands had started shaking, and I pressed them flat against my desk to hide it. "Considering I'm the one who went to law school. I'm the one who makes real money. You're just a paralegal who got lucky marrying up." He leaned down, close enough that I could smell his cologne, the same one I'd bought him for his birthday. "Don't make this difficult. You were always so good at doing what you were told." Then he was gone, Nicole's hand sliding into his as they walked toward the elevator. The murmur of voices started immediately, whispers that would become office gossip within the hour. I stared at the envelope, my name typed in impersonal courier font, and felt something inside me crack open. "Miss Thompson." Diana Hartwell's voice cut through the noise. "My office, please." I gathered the divorce papers with numb fingers and followed her down the hallway to the corner office with its floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking downtown Chicago. Diana closed the door behind us and gestured to one of the leather chairs facing her massive desk. "I'm so sorry," I began. "That was completely inappropriate. I'll talk to James and make sure." "Sit down, Grace." Diana poured 2 glasses of water from the crystal pitcher on her credenza and handed me one. "And don't apologize for your husband's cruelty." I sat, clutching the water glass like a lifeline. Diana Hartwell was a legend in Illinois legal circles, a woman who'd built Hartwell and Associates from nothing into one of Chicago's most respected firms. At 68, she still worked 12-hour days and never missed a detail. I'd been her paralegal for 7 years, and in all that time, I'd never seen her office door close during business hours. "I know you're upset," Diana said, settling into her chair. "But before you sign anything or make any decisions, I need you to listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you." She opened her desk drawer and pulled out a thick folder, setting it between us. "How much do you know about your husband's recent cases?" I blinked at the sudden change of subject. Not much. We don't work together. Different departments, different clients. He's corporate litigation. I'm with you in estate planning and trusts." "Exactly." Diana opened the folder. "Which is why you wouldn't know that for the past 6 months, James and Nicole have been systematically stealing client files and privileged information from this firm." The words didn't make sense at first. I stared at the documents she was spreading across her desk. Printed emails, file access logs, photographs of James and Nicole meeting with strangers in parking garages. "They're passing information to Lockhart and Shaw," Diana continued, her voice calm and methodical. "Our biggest competitor. Trade secrets, case strategies, client lists, settlement negotiations. Everything that would give Lockhart an edge in upcoming trials and allow them to poach our most lucrative clients." "That's impossible," I said. But even as the words left my mouth, I was remembering things. James working late more often, his sudden interest in my work schedule. The way he'd asked, casually, what cases Diana was preparing for trial this quarter. "I've been building this case for 3 months," Diana said. "I have proof, but I need more. I need documentation that will hold up in court, not just before the Bar Association, but in criminal proceedings. Wire fraud, theft of trade secrets, conspiracy." She leaned forward. "I need someone on the inside, someone James trusts, someone he won't suspect." "But he just divorced me," I said, in front of the entire office. "Perfect timing, isn't it?" Diana's eyes were sharp behind her reading glasses. "He thinks you're broken, humiliated, weak. He'll never see you coming." I looked down at the divorce papers in my lap, at James's signature bold and confident at the bottom of page 12. "Why are you telling me this? Why not go to the police now?" "Because I need this airtight. James is smart, and he's connected. His father is Judge Harold Mitchell. Half the prosecutors in this city owe the Mitchell family favors." Diana closed the folder. "But more than that. Grace, I'm telling you because in 7 years of working together, I've watched you. You're brilliant with details. You never miss a filing deadline, never make a mistake in court documents. You're the best paralegal I've ever had, and you waste your talent because you think you're not good enough for law school." "I'm 35, I said automatically. "Too old to start over." "I was 42 when I went to law school," Diana said. "After my husband died and left me with nothing but debt and 2 children to raise, now I run this firm." She stood and walked to the window, looking out over the city. "James thinks you're nothing. He said it in front of everyone. Let him keep thinking that while you prove him wrong." My phone buzzed. A text from James. "Don't forget your stuff is at the storage unit. I need your answer on the papers by Monday. Make it easy, Grace." Something shifted in my chest, that cracked open feeling solidifying into something harder. Something furious. "What do you need me to do?" Diana turned, and for the first time since I'd known her, she smiled. "First, don't sign those papers. My friend Carolyn Briggs is a family law attorney. She'll handle your divorce and make sure James doesn't get away with blindsiding you. Second, go home or to wherever you're staying and make a list of everything you know about James's computer passwords, his favorite coffee shop, where he keeps his files, his routines. You want me to spy on my husband. I want you to help me stop 2 criminals from destroying everything I've built," Diana corrected. "And in the process, ensure James Mitchell learns that underestimating you was the biggest mistake of his life." I thought about James's face as he'd handed me those papers. The satisfaction in Nicole's eyes, the whispers that would follow me through every hallway in this building. "When do we start?" "Right now." Diana picked up her phone. "I'm giving you a new assignment. Officially, you're helping me prepare for the Westbrook Trust litigation. That trial starts in 6 weeks, which gives you a perfect excuse to work late, access files, and ask questions." She paused. "Unofficially, you're going to help me gather enough evidence to send your husband to prison." The storage unit on 5th Street was exactly what I expected. A 5x10 space stuffed with trash bags full of my clothes, my books thrown in carelessly, my grandmother's china wrapped in newspaper. James hadn't even bothered to pack my things properly. He just wanted me gone. I sat on the concrete floor in the dim fluorescent light and called the number Diana had given me. Carolyn Briggs. The voice was warm, professional. "Hi, I'm Grace Thompson." Diana Hartwell said, "I know exactly why you're calling, honey. Your husband's a real piece of work, serving you papers like that. Don't you worry. We're going to make sure he doesn't screw you over any more than he already has." Papers rustled. "Can you come to my office tomorrow morning? 8 o'clock? We need to file a response before his deadline, and I want to go over some things." "I don't have much money," I admitted. "I've been putting my paychecks into our joint account, and James cleared it out yesterday." "Diana's handling my fee. You just show up and tell me everything." After we hung up, I sat there for another 10 minutes, surrounded by the fragments of my life, and tried to remember who I'd been before James. Before I'd started making myself smaller to fit into his idea of the perfect lawyer's wife. Before I'd stopped applying to law schools because he'd laughed and said I'd never keep up with the workload. My phone buzzed again. "Diana, dinner tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Giordano's on Rush Street. We have work to do." I pushed myself up off the floor and started carrying bags to my car. I'd been sleeping on my friend Rachel's couch for 3 nights, and she'd said I could stay as long as I needed. It wasn't home, but it would do. Because Diana Hartwell was right. James thought this was over. He thought he'd won. He had no idea what was coming. The next morning, Carolyn Briggs's office was everything James's wasn't. Warm colors, comfortable chairs, and photos of her family covering every available surface. She listened while I explained about the joint account, the apartment, the way James had isolated me from my friends over the years, always with a smile and a reasonable explanation. "Classic financial abuse," Carolyn said, making notes. "We're filing for emergency relief today. The judge will freeze all assets until we have a hearing. James doesn't get to steal your money just because he decided to cheat. He'll be furious," I said. "Good." Carolyn looked up over her reading glasses. "Let him be. You're not responsible for managing his emotions anymore, Grace. That was part of how he controlled you." By the time I got to the office, my phone had 17 missed calls from James. I ignored them all and went straight to Diana's office. "Carolyn works fast," Diana observed, seeing my expression. She filed an emergency motion. The court froze everything. "Excellent. Now, let's talk about your new project." Diana pulled out architectural drawings of the office building. "James and Nicole have been meeting in Conference Room C every Thursday at 7 p.m. The night cleaning crew doesn't start until 9, so they think they're alone. But the firm's security cameras are active 24/7, and I have access to all the footage. You've been watching them for 3 months. But video footage of them meeting isn't enough. I need proof of what they're discussing, what documents they're sharing." Diana traced a line on the drawings. "Conference Room C shares a ventilation system with the file room. Sound carries. If someone were in that file room with a recording device during their Thursday meetings, you want me to record them. I want you to gather evidence of criminal activity. There's a difference." Diana met my eyes. "This is the line, Grace. Once you cross it, there's no going back. If you're not comfortable, I'll do it," I said. "What do I need?" Thursday evening, I sat in the dark file room with my back against the cold metal shelving, Diana's voice recorder in my hand, and my heart pounding so hard I was sure someone would hear it. Through the vent, I could hear James and Nicole clearly. "Told you it was handled," James was saying. Grace signed the papers. "She's not a problem anymore. Your ex-wife works here, James. She could hear something, see something." "Grace?" James laughed. "She's a glorified secretary who couldn't find her own ass with both hands and a map. She'll sign whatever I tell her to sign, move wherever I tell her to move, and never question it because that's what she does. She obeys." The rage that had been simmering in my chest since Tuesday crystallized into something cold and focused. I pressed the recorder closer to the vent. "Besides," James continued, "I checked her calendar. She's working late on that Westbrook case with Diana, completely buried in trust documents and estate tax bullshit. She doesn't have time to notice what we're doing, even if she had the brains for it." "Fine. Did you get the files I asked for?" "Right here. Westbrook Trust Litigation Strategy, Diana's witness list, her entire case file. Lockhart's going to love this. They're offering us both junior partnerships once they poach the Westbrook estate as a client. How much is the trust worth?" $43 million. And that's just the beginning. Once we hand Lockhart the client list from Diana's estate planning division, we're talking hundreds of millions in assets under management. I recorded for 47 minutes. They discussed 12 different cases, named specific Lockhart and Shaw attorneys they were working with, and even joked about how easy it had been to copy files while everyone assumed they were working late. "Diana's so concerned with maintaining her reputation as the firm grandma," Nicole said. "She trusts everyone. It's pathetic, really." "She trusted the wrong people," James agreed. "But by the time she figures out what's happening, Lockhart will have gutted her client base. Hartwell and Associates will be finished, and we'll be sitting pretty with corner offices and partnership tracks." When they finally left, I waited another 10 minutes in the dark, my hands shaking around the recorder. Then I uploaded everything to Diana's secure server and sent her a text. "Got it all." Her response was immediate. "My office. Now." Diana listened to the entire recording twice, her expression never changing. When it finished, she closed her laptop and looked at me. "This is enough for the Bar Association, but I want more. I want criminal charges. Wire fraud requires proof of electronic transmission of stolen information. Can you get access to James's computer? He changes his password every month, I said. But he uses the same pattern. His college football team name plus the year he graduated plus 2 symbols. You know his patterns. We were married for 8 years. I know everything. I pulled out my phone and showed her the list I'd made. He gets coffee at the same place every morning at 7:15. He uses the gym on the 3rd floor Monday, Wednesday, and Friday during lunch. He keeps his laptop in his car when he's working out because he's paranoid about people going through his office. Diana studied the list. You're certain about the laptop? He's been doing it for years. Says the building's security isn't good enough. Interesting opinion, considering he's been stealing from this building for 6 months. Diana stood. I have a friend. Former FBI cybercrimes. He can image a hard drive in under 15 minutes if he has physical access. But it's risky, Grace. If James catches you, he won't, I said. James thinks I'm nothing. You said it yourself. He'll never see me coming. Monday morning, I wore my running shoes to work and packed a gym bag. At 12:30, I watched James head toward the 3rd floor fitness center, his usual routine. I gave him 5 minutes, then went to the parking garage. His Tesla was in its reserved spot, and my hands were steady as I used the emergency key I'd never returned to unlock the passenger door. The laptop bag was exactly where I knew it would be, tucked under the passenger seat. I had 14 minutes. Diana's FBI friend Marcus Chen was waiting in a surveillance van 3 rows over. I handed him the laptop and got back in my car, my heart racing. 13 minutes, 12, 11. At 9 minutes, Marcus knocked on my window and handed the laptop back. Got everything. He's not good at digital security. I found deleted emails to Lockhart attorneys going back 7 months, wire transfer records, even a shared Dropbox with stolen files. I put the laptop back exactly where I'd found it and locked James's car. My hands didn't shake until I was back in the stairwell, and then they trembled so badly I had to sit down on the steps and put my head between my knees. You did it, I whispered to myself. You actually did it. That night, Diana spread the evidence across her desk recordings, emails, financial records, server access logs, and Marcus's forensic analysis of James's hard drive. We have them, she said simply. Wire fraud, theft of trade secrets, conspiracy, computer fraud, the U.S. Attorney's Office will prosecute. The Bar Association will disbar them. And Lockhart and Shaw will face sanctions for receiving stolen information. When? I asked. I want to wait until your divorce hearing. I want James to think he's won everything, and then we'll destroy him. The divorce hearing was scheduled for 3 weeks later, a Friday morning in Cook County Family Court. James's attorney, his father's old colleague, was smug as he outlined the proposed settlement. I would get my car and my personal belongings. James would keep the apartment, the savings, the investments, everything we'd built together. My client is being more than generous, the attorney said, considering Miss Thompson's limited earning potential and the fact that she contributed very little financially to the marriage. Carolyn Briggs smiled. Your Honor, we'd like to present some additional evidence before you make a ruling. She handed the judge a folder. This morning, my client filed a criminal complaint with the U.S. Attorney's Office. Mr. Mitchell and his colleague, Nicole Shaw, are being charged with wire fraud, theft of trade secrets, and conspiracy to commit computer fraud. The evidence package includes 18 months of illegal activity, including theft from the law firm where Miss Thompson works. James's face went white. His attorney looked confused. The judge started reading, and her expression grew harder with each page. Furthermore, Carolyn continued, we're filing a counterpetition. Miss Thompson is requesting 50% of all marital assets, including Mr. Mitchell's pension, retirement accounts, and the appreciation on their home equity. We're also requesting spousal maintenance given that Mr. Mitchell's earning potential will be significantly diminished when he's disbarred and incarcerated. Your Honor, James's attorney started. But the judge held up her hand. I've read enough. Mr. Mitchell, did you actually steal from your own law firm while planning to divorce your wife and leave her penniless? James couldn't speak. Nicole, sitting in the gallery, had gone paper white. I'm granting Miss Thompson's counterpetition in full, the judge said, and I'm referring this matter to the Illinois Attorney Registration and Disciplinary Commission. This hearing is adjourned. In the hallway, James grabbed my arm. You bitch, you set me up. No, I said, pulling away. You set yourself up. I just made sure everyone found out about it. Diana was waiting by the elevators, along with 2 FBI agents. James Mitchell, Nicole Shaw. You're both under arrest. I watched them being led away in handcuffs, and I felt nothing but a strange, clean relief. It was over. 6 months later, I stood in Diana Hartwell's office for what I knew would be the last time as her paralegal. She'd called me in for a meeting, and I'd been dreading it. The firm had recovered from James's theft, but the scandal had been brutal. I'd assumed I'd be let go quietly, my association with James too much of a liability. Sit down, Grace. Diana gestured to the familiar leather chair. I have a proposition for you. I sat, clutching my portfolio with updated resumes. I know the firm's been through a lot. If you need me to resign, I need you to go to law school, Diana interrupted. Northwestern has accepted your application. I wrote your recommendation letter. Classes start in the fall. I stared at her. I didn't apply to law school. I did, on your behalf. Diana smiled. And I'm offering you a full scholarship through the Hartwell Foundation, plus a part-time position here as a law clerk while you study. When you graduate, you'll have a job waiting for you as an associate attorney. I don't understand, I said. Why would you do this? Because 8 years ago, I watched a brilliant young woman shrink herself to fit into someone else's life. I watched you stop applying to law schools, stop taking the LSAT, stop believing you were good enough. Diana leaned forward. Then I watched that same woman bring down a criminal conspiracy and save my firm. You're not a paralegal, Grace. You never were. You're an attorney who just hasn't finished her training yet. I couldn't speak. Tears blurred my vision. James took a lot from you, Diana said gently. But he didn't take everything. He didn't take your intelligence, or your courage, or your capability. Those were always yours. I just gave you a reason to remember that. Thank you, I managed, for everything, for believing in me. Thank you for trusting me. Diana stood and handed me a box. James and Nicole both pleaded guilty last week. 3 years in federal prison, restitution to the firm, and permanent disbarment. It's over. The box contained the recorder I'd used that first night in the file room, now mounted on a plaque. The inscription read, "Sometimes the quiet ones are just gathering evidence." I carried it out to my car and set it on the passenger seat, thinking about everything that had changed. James was gone. The marriage I'd thought defined me was over. The life I'd been living, that small, careful life, had ended. And somehow, impossibly, I was free. That night, I called Diana. Does the end justify the means? You asked me that once, in the beginning. Did I? She sounded amused. What's your answer? I looked at my acceptance letter to Northwestern Law School, at the divorce decree that had come through last week, at the news article about James's sentencing. I think sometimes the end isn't about justification, it's about justice. And those aren't always the same thing. Wise words, Diana said. You're going to make an excellent attorney, Grace. After we hung up, I sat on Rachel's couch, my couch now, since I'd signed a lease on my own apartment starting next month, and thought about that moment in the conference room when James had dropped those divorce papers on my desk. How humiliated I'd felt. How broken. He'd wanted me to stay broken. He'd counted on it. But Diana Hartwell had taught me something more important than legal strategy or evidence collection. She taught me that the person they underestimate is often the most dangerous person in the room. And I would never forget that lesson. 3 years later, I'll graduate from Northwestern Law School. Diana will be there, front row, just like she's been at every important moment since that Thursday night when I first agreed to help her. I'll join Hartwell and Associates as a junior attorney, and maybe, someday, I'll have my own corner office with floor-to-ceiling windows. But more than that, I'll remember the woman I used to be, the one who thought she was nothing, and I'll make sure she knows how wrong she was. Because Grace Thompson wasn't just a paralegal who got lucky. She was an attorney who got justice, and that made all the difference.